Hello there, my name is Payal Naraine and welcome to this video series. यहाँ हम कवर कर रहे हैं पूनम दलाल दहिया की एंशिएंट एंड मेडिवल इंडिया की थर्ड एडिशन, जो कि लेटेस्ट एडिशन है। इस किताब को हम थ्रूली रीड करेंगे और जहाँ ज़रूरत पड़ेगी वहाँ हम साथ ही साथ यूपीएससी एंड स्टेट सर्विसेज में आए हुए प्रीवियस ईयर के क्वेश्चंस भी डिस्कस करेंगे। एंड इस सीरीज़ में वीडियोस लगभग 30 to 35 मिनट्स के होंगे, बट इफेक्टिव होंगे। और हम ऑलमोस्ट 40 to 45 लेक्चर्स में ये पूरी किताब कवर करेंगे। और अगर आपने ये सीरीज़ 3 to 4 टाइम्स देख ली तो बिल्कुल ये किताब आपके दिमाग में छप जाएगी एंड ट्रस्ट मी, आपकी एक्यूरेसी भी काफ़ी इंक्रीज़ हो जाएगी। साथ ही साथ आपका रिवीजन भी काफ़ी आसान हो जाएगा। सो अगर आपको रिवीजन के साथ साथ वैल्यू एडिशन भी करना है तो ये सीरीज़ पूरी फॉलो करें। आपको बस आपके पास ये किताब रखकर मुझे सुनना है एंड मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स मार्क करने हैं। So without any further delay, let's get started.
हेलो देयर, वेलकम बैक टू द चैनल घटना सूत्र। यहाँ हम कवर कर रहे हैं पूनम दलाल दहिया की एंशिएंट एंड मेडिवल इंडिया थर्ड एडिशन, जो कि लेटेस्ट एडिशन है। और हमने लास्ट वीडियो में कवर कर लिया था डॉक्ट्रिन ऑफ जैनिज्म। नाउ वी आर गोइंग टू स्टार्ट विद अ कंपैरिजन बिटवीन बुद्धिज्म एंड जैनिज्म एंड व्हाट आर द सिमिलैरिटीज इन देम। राइट, सो लेट्स स्टार्ट। बुद्धिज्म एंड जैनिज्म. Both Buddhism and Jainism had some similarities in their teaching. For instances, both rejected the authority of Vedas, emphasized on renunciation and human efforts as the mean of obtaining salvation, and established a monastic order for both men and women. Like Buddhism, Jainism is fundamentally aesthetic. Though it recognizes the existence of gods, yet it refuses to give them importance in the universal scheme of themes, and places the god lower than Jinnah, the conqueror. Like Buddhist texts, Jinnah texts criticize the Brahmanas, their practice of animal sacrifice and ritual authority giving preference to Brahmanas. Both Jainism and Buddhism focus on the superiority of Kshatriya Varna over all other Varnas, including Brahmanas. They both attempt to give a new connotation to the meaning of Brahmanas, shifting the emphasis from an ascribed status to one achieved by good deeds. They use the word Brahmana in the sense of acknowledging a wise person who possesses true knowledge and lives an exemplary life. Like Buddhism, monastic order, people of all caste and social background were welcomed in Jainism. There are frequent mentions of learned Jaina monks named Harikesha who belong to a Chandala family. Brahmana Varna was represented by Bhadrabahu, Divakara, Jinasena, and Haribhadra. Similarly, Jainism opened its door to the women mendicants who were addressed as Aryakas or Sadhvis. Spread and influence of Jainism. Jainism gradually spread to Western India, where the Brahminical religion was weak. The early Jains adopted Prakrit language of the common people to preach their doctrine and discarded Sanskrit language, which was mainly patronized by Brahmanas. This greatly helped in widening the followers' base of Jainism, and with the support of kings who greatly patronized Jainism like Chandragupta Maurya, he himself became a Jaina ascetic and spent his last year in Karnataka. It became popular in southern India too. The great famine that occurred in Magadha after 200 years of the death of Mahavira also contributed to its spread in southern India. According to tradition, the famine lasted for about 12 years, and in order to protect themselves, many Jaina followers, under the leadership of Bhadrabahu, who later came to be known as Digambara, went south and spread Jainism there. Around 4th century BCE, it is also spread to Kalinga. and was greatly popularized by its king Kharavela. In about 2nd and the 1st century BCE, it reached as far as the southern district of Tamil Nadu. Later, it penetrated Malwa, Gujarat, and Rajasthan. It is rather interesting to note that even though Jainism did not win as much state patronage as Buddhism and was not as fast to spread as Buddhism in early times, it still retains its hold in many areas of Indian subcontinent, whereas Buddhism has practically disappeared from the land of its birth. Now we are going to talk about different schools of Jainism. अब इन डिफरेंट स्कूल्स को आप ध्यान से पढ़िएगा क्योंकि जस्ट स्टार मार्क दिस, क्योंकि ये छत्तीसगढ़ PCS में 2020 में इसके ऊपर सवाल आया था, साथ ही RAS RTS की एग्ज़ाम में 1999 में भी इसके ऊपर सवाल आया था. सो डबल स्टार मार्क दिस टॉपिक. राइट, लेट्स स्टार्ट. Digambara literally means sky-clad. Digambara stress the practice of nudity as an absolute prerequisite to the mendicant's path and to the attainment of salvation, whereas Shvetambara literally means white-clad. Shvetambaras asserts that the practice of complete nudity is not essential to attain liberation. Digambara, according to tradition, during the famous Magadha famine 200 years ago after the death of Mahavira, they are the ones who, under the leadership of Bhadrabhau, migrated south and lived in the old traditional way. Shvetambara, according to tradition, during the most famous Magad famine, they are the ones who, under the leadership of Stalabhau, and stayed back at Magad. When the Jains who had migrated south returned, they accused this group of violating rules of Jainism on account of wearing white clothing. Digambara. On the point of liberation of women, Digambara tradition holds that woman lacks the body and rigid will necessary to attain moksha. That is liberation. Hence, she has to be reborn as a man before she attains such attainment is possible. For instance, the 19th Tirthankara of Shvetambara tradition is not accepted as female by them, rather as a male named Malinath, born into a royal family as a prince, who, after taking vows of Digambara monk, eventually became a Tirthankar. Shvetambara. Whereas Shvetambara acknowledged the possibility of women attending Jinnahhood and maintained that women are capable in the present lifetime of the same spiritual accomplishment as men. For instance, in the Shvetambara tradition, the 19th Tirthankara is a female named Mali, who is the only female Tirthankara. Digambara. According to the Digambara tradition, on attaining enlightenment, an omniscient is freed from the need of ordinary existence such as hunger, thirst, sleep, disease, or fear. Shvetambara. Whereas Shvetambara tradition holds that even the omniscient requires food. Digambara. Regarding hagiography of Mahavira, both differ to a great extent. For example, regarding the embryo of Mahavira, Digambara tradition rubbishes the claim of Shvetambaras and dismisses the whole episode of unreliable and absurd. Shvetambara. The Shvetambara believes that Mahavira was born of a Kshatriya lady, Trishala, though conception took place in the womb of a Brahman lady, Devananda. The change of embryo is believed to have been effected by god Indra on the 83rd day after conception. Digambara. Regarding marriage of Mahavira, Digambara tradition holds that Mahavira never married and renounced the world while his parents were alive. Shvetambara. Shvetambara believes that Mahavira married Princess Yashoda at a fairly young age and had a daughter from her named Priyadarshana, and that Mahavira led a full-fledged householder's life till he was 30. It was only after his parents' death that he became an ascetic. Digambara. Regarding idols of Tirthankaras, Digambara tradition represent the idols of Tirthankara as nude, unadorned, and with downcast eyes in the contemplative mood, whereas Shvetambara's tradition depicts the idols of Tirthankara as wearing a lion cloth bedecked with jewels and with glass eyed inserted in the marble. Digambara. Regarding canonical literature, Digambara holds that the original and genuine texts were lost long ago. The Digambara also refused to accept the achievement of the first council, which met under the leadership of Acharya Stulabhadra, and consequently the recasting of the Angas. Whereas the Shvetambaras believed that the validity and sacredness of canonical literature, that is, the 12 Anga and Sutra as they exist now. The Digambara make use of the term Purana for the hagiographies, whereas Shvetambara use the term Charitas. Digambara. Recording food of ascetics, the Digambara monk take food standing with the help of a knotted upturned palm and in one house only where their sankalpa, preconceived idea, is fulfilled, whereas the Shvetambara's monk collect their food from different houses. Digambara. Regarding possession of ascetic, the Digambara ascetic must renounce all possession, including clothes, and is allowed only two possession: Rajahurana, a small peacock feather broom for brushing insects away, and a Kamandalu, a wooden water pot for toilet hygiene. Whereas Shvetambara's ascetic is allowed to have 14 possession, including a lion cloth, shoulder cloth, etc. Digambara subsect. So, the major subsect. Let's start with the first one, Bishpanath. The followers of Bishpanath support the Dharma Gurus, that is, religious authority known as Bhatrakas, the head of Janamat. They worship the idol of Tirthankars and also the idol of Kshetrapala, Padmavati, and other deities in the temple. They worship these idols with saffron, flour, fruits, sweets, scented incense, sticks, etc. While performing these worships, they sit on the ground and do not stand. They perform arti, that is, waving of lights over the idol, and in the temple even at night during and distribute prasada. Followers including all Digambar Jainas from Maharashtra, Karnataka and South India, and also a large number of Digambara Jainas from Rajasthan and Gujarat. Second, Therapanthas. In North India, since it arose as a revolt against the domination and conduct of the Bhattarakas, that is, so consequently the institution of Bhattarakas lost its importance in North India. However, in South India, Bhattarakas continue to play an important role. They worship idols of Tirthankaras and not of Kshetrapalas, Padmavati and other deities in the temple. They worshipped idols not with flowers, fruits and other green vegetables known as Sachita things, but with sacred rice called aksata, cloves, sandal, almond, dry coconut, dates, etc. While worshipping, they stand and do not sit. They do not perform arti or distribute prasadas in the temple. Followers of Therapanthis are more numerous in Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh. Taran Panthas or Samaya Pantha. The subsect is also called as Samaya Pantha as its followers worship Saranya, that is sacred book, and not the idol. Their three main traits are the aversion to idol worship, the absence of outward religious practice, and the ban on caste distinction. Thus, they strongly refute idolatry but have their own temples in which they keep their sacred books for worship. They do not offer excuse me. They do not offer sorry. They do not offer articles like fruits and flowers at the time of worship. They give more importance to spiritual value and the study of sacred literature. The Taranpanthis are few in numbers and are mostly confined to Bundelkhand Malwa area of Madhya Pradesh and Khandesh area of Maharashtra. Now the minor subsect. So the first is Gumana Pantha. The subsect stress on the purity of conduct and self-discipline and strict adherence to the precept. They strictly prohibit the lighting of candles or lamps in the Jaina temple as they regard this as a violation of the fundamental doctrine of Jaina religious, that is non-violence. They only visit and view the image of in the temple and do not make any offerings to them. The followers are mostly concentrated in Rajasthan, specifically Jaipur. Second minor subsect is Tota Pantha. The Tota Panthis, that is 16 and a half, came into existence as a result of difference between the Bisa 20 Pantha and Tera 13 Panthas subsect, and thus the followers believe to some extent in the doctrine of Bisa Pantha and to some extent in those of Tera Panthas. The followers are extremely few in numbers and are not now found in some pockets in Madhya Pradesh. Shwetambar sect. Murti Pujakas. The followers are throughout worshippers of idols and offer flowers, fruits, saffron, etc. to their idols and invariably adorn them with rich clothes and jeweled ornaments. They stay in temples or in the specially reserved buildings known as Upsarayas. Four main attributes: Pujera, worshippers; Deravasi, temple resident; Chaityavasi, temple resident; Mandira Margi, temple goers, largely concentrated in Gujarat. Stankavasi. Stankavasi do not believe in idol worship at temple and thus do not have temples at all. Instead, they have sthanakas, that is, prayer halls where they carry on their religious fast, festivals, practice prayer, discourse, etc. They also do not have faith in the places of pilgrimage and do not participate in religious festival of Murti Pujakas, Shwetambars. Two main attributes: Dhundhiya, searchers; Sadhumargi, followers of sadhus, that is ascetic. They are found mainly in Gujarat, Punjab, Haryana and Rajasthan. Terapanthis. They are non-idolatrous and are very finely organized under the complete direction of one acharya, that is, a religious head, one code of conduct and one line of thoughts. All the monks and nuns of the Terapanthas scrupulously follow the order of the acharya, preacher under his guidance, and carry out all religious activities in accordance with his instruction. They also attach importance to the practice of meditation. Terapanthis are considered reformists as they emphasize simplicity in religion. For instance, the Terapanthis do not even construct monasteries for their monks who inhabited a part of the house which the householders built for themselves. They are concentrated mainly in Bikaner, Jodhpur and Mewar areas of Rajasthan. It is pertinent to note that even though the name Terapanthi subsect appears both among the Digambara and the Shwetambara sect, still the two Terapanthis are entirely different from each other, as while the Digambara Terapanthi believes in nudity and idol worship, the Shwetambara Terapanthis are quite opposite to both. Jaina Council. First council held in 310 BC, Patliputra. Compilation of 12 Angas to replace Purvas, rejection by Digambaras. Precedent was Stulabhadra. Second Jaina Council was in the year 512 CE, place Vallabhi, Gujarat. Final compilation of 12 Angas and 12 Upangas. Precedent is Dheri Ganj. Key terms, concept and meaning. Basadi, Jain monastic establishment. Avadhijana, supreme human cognition. Gandharas, chief disciplines of Mahavira. Siddha, fully liberated. Dharvya, substance. Guna, quality. Prayaya, mode. Jiva, soul. Eva, in fact. Pudgala, aggregate of atoms which have forms, colors, taste, smell and can be touched and felt. Chaityana, consciousness. Viraya, energy. Mohaniya, delusion causing karma. Asrava, flow. Nirjara, wearing out. Guntasthanas, stage of purification. Arhat, who entered the stage of Keval Jana. Tirthankaras, Arhat, who had already acquired the capability of teaching the doctrine. Now let's start with Ajavikas. But star mark this topic because इसके ऊपर UPPCS and BPSC and even in RAS RTS examination में पहले सवाल पूछे गए थे. So make sure you star mark this in your books too. Double star mark it. Ajavikas. Buddhism and Jainism were not the only religion which challenged Brahminical dominance. According to the Buddhist source, more than 62 sects and philosophies flourished in this period. One of these sects, known as the Ajavikas or followers of the way of life, were ascetic order that started at the time of Buddha and Mahavira and lasted until the 14th century. Ajavikas was founded by Mahakali Ghosha. Ajavikas were very popular in Magad in the 3rd century BCE, and Mauryan kings donated several caves in the honor of Ajavika monks. According to tradition, it is believed that for some 6 years, Mahavira's hardship was shared by Gosala. But ultimately, the two quarreled, and Gosala left Mahavira to found the sect of Ajavikas, predetermined, determinist, or Niyati. His doctrine and those of his followers are known only from Buddhist and Jaina source, which states that he was a lowborn, died after quarrel with Mahavira shortly before the Buddha died. Ajavikas, who were rigid, fatalist, and determinist, supposedly held that the affair of the entire universe were ordered by a cosmic force called Niyati, meaning rule or destiny in Sanskrit, that determined all events, including the individual's fate, to the last detail, that barred personal efforts to change and accelerated improvement towards one's spiritual destiny. No human effort could have any effect against Niyati, and therefore karma is fallacy. Nirvana was only reached after living through an immense number of lives, which proceeded automatically like the unwinding of a ball of thread, the last life being as an Ajavika monk. As a result of this static and melancholy view of the human condition, the Ajavika practiced austerities rather than pursue any purposeful goal. Some later Ajavikas worshipped Gosala as a divinity, and the tenet of Niyati developed into the doctrine that all change was illusory and that everything was eternally immobile. So that's all for this. Now we are going to start with the next chapter, the Mauryan Empire. And it started from 324 to 187 BCE. The Mauryan period is a remarkable period in the early history of Indian subcontinent. It not only marked the establishment of the first subcontinental empire, but also the development of innovative and comparatively stable governance strategies. Leaving Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and some part of northeast India, the Mauryan rules over the whole of the subcontinent. The sources of Mauryan period are more varied and considered more authentic than the earlier period. For the first time now, we have at our disposal a number of sources. Literary sources like Arthashastra of Kautilya, Indica of Megasthenes, and the Junagadh inscription of Rudraman I, which attributed to the beginning of construction of a Sudarshan lake during Chandragupta's reign. An edict issued by Ashoka that throws a clear light on the history of this period. So here's a map of Mauryan dynasty.